and love, everybody.
Peace.
Hope you're having a beautiful day and just enjoying the family time that you have because tomorrow ain't promised. So make sure that you are living your life to the fullest every day and just giving gratitude and appreciating what you have because we all have something good that we can be thankful for. With that being said, we're sitting here. We're gonna be doing a Moorish American question and answer Q&A. It's gonna be a short segment. We're just gonna go over a couple questions that has been asked um, and frequently asked, just to clear some things up about being a Moorish American. And if you are in the chat and you have any questions, be sure to ask them. And if we do not get to them on this live, we will definitely get to them in the next one. All right? Peace and love.
All right. Peace and love, Morris.
The questions are already going. Some brother
Oh,
said,
let's
"Are
see.
you
Go
a
ahead.
Moor?" Right? Are
Are you
you
a
a
Moor?
Moor? We're gonna cover that. Islam. Islam. All right. First question: why should we call ourselves Moorish Americans versus Black, African American, colored, Negro, etc.?
Okay. Perfect question. First off, um, what is a black person? Right? What is the African American? Why do our names change constantly? All right. These are questions that people like us should be asking themselves. So I'm specifically speaking to people like us, if you know what I'm saying, the so-called black people in America. And we should ask ourselves, how come? Why is it that just one generation, or matter of fact, two generations back, people were being called Negro, all right, and colored, and black at that time, even as late as the 1960s, black was an insult to be called black. People saw that as an insult. They had to be eased into it through mass media, through mainstream media, through songs like popular singers coming out making songs, like that James Brown song, "I'm
I'm
Black
black
and
and
I'm
I'm
Proud,"
proud,
and just
right?
different things like that. They had to be eased into it, and then call themselves black for like 15 or so years, and then in the 80s, boom, hey, we're African American, and so now we're African American, and now we were being called Negro on the record. We were describing ourselves as Negro. Negro was on your job application. Negro was everywhere. Now, if a European person calls you a Negro, they're in trouble.
Yeah, that's slander.
Somebody is going to lose their job. People can lose their business. They can own a business and lose it because they messed up and used the word Negro to describe you. Right? So what happened? What is that? Right? So that changed, and it's there's something wrong with that. Like the names having to get switched every couple of years. There's something going on with that. And so let me explain why we shouldn't call ourselves black or African American or Negro or colored. Right? It's all silly. You fast forward back in time in the history of this nation, when the Europeans had their colonies here, they got to work. Before they even had a United States of America, they got to work classifying our people as Negroes. And they got to work classifying us as Negroes, and they defined what a Negro is. So that in 1740, you had the Negro Act in South Carolina, where they defined Indians and Negroes as slaves, a permanent slave class. All right? And you had several Negro Acts. These were laws that were being passed in the different states, the different colonies, whatever you want to call it, to define the Negro as less than as a permanent slave class. And it evolved over time through the 1800s, through the 1900s. You had the black codes, the black Christian codes. And these were laws, once again, defining the Negro or the black person as this permanent underclass and limiting what we could do, what we couldn't own, land, all of these different things. And so this was something that was done outside of our people. So to answer that question, you shouldn't call yourself black, African American, Negro, because it was created by people outside of your community to define you as less than.
There you
And
go.
they wanted to keep you outside of the constitutional fold, outside of your rights, your human rights, and they defined you. And so when you define something, you own something.
That's
And
right.
so there's somebody in the chat's like, wrap it up. Like, you can wrap it up on your channel. We're going to cover it and make sure that it's understood. We're not wrapping it up because this stuff's been done for real, and maybe for other people it don't matter because you're immigrants or something. It don't even click for you. But for us, this is real. And so I say to people like that too to kick rocks, because if you're from outside of our community, you more than likely don't care about this situation.
And you don't understand how important this is, because what he's talking about is the making of a slave, a whole slave class, a whole slave system. This is real, and it's you've been manufactured, okay? Whether you realize it or not, this is real. It's really happening to you. It happened to your grandparents. It happened to you, and it's going to happen to the next generation unless you put a stop to it right now and learn about your history and learn about your status and learn about who you are as a human with human rights.
Let me rewind this back before you even said anything. I'm saying I'm specifically talking to my people. Get that? Those so-called African Americans. That's who I'm talking to. All right. So for us, this is what happened. They came here and defined us as something that's less than, and they put it on the books, right? So when you define something, when you name something, you take ownership of it. I've spoken about this previously, like in the Bible, when God gave Adam the ability to name all of the animals, all the creatures. He was giving him dominion over the earth. So that's all symbolic, all right? But this is what's behind it. Giving him the ability to name the creatures, to name all the plants. That means he has dominion over the earth, and humans have dominion over the earth, right? And so from this perspective, for the pale-skinned Europeans to be able to define us, we weren't calling ourselves Negroes. We weren't calling ourselves colored. That's stupid. This is what they did. They had to keep switching it up to stay ahead of the game. We weren't calling ourselves black, and we definitely weren't calling ourselves African American. This is something that they did. And they gave us an origin that starts at slavery. So the Negro starts at slavery. Black people start at slavery. African Americans start at slavery.
And
all
you
right,
have to understand that your history surpasses slavery. Right? You were a people, you were a nation, you had a religion, you had a culture, you had traditions before you were put into this slave label and this system that you only know today.
All right. So if we can go on and block that person, because I don't even think you have any say in what we're doing right here. But back to what I was saying. So they defined it and they started it at slavery, and that's why you have a movement called ADOS, where it's a African descendants of slaves or American descendants of slaves, and it's an African American movement where they're trying to get reparations. And it's like, oh, so you start at slavery, okay? And that's the story. And so that's why Black history, it doesn't go back any further than slavery. As a Moorish American, this ties you back into the creators of civilization. The Moors didn't just civilize Europe. They didn't just civilize portions of Africa. The Moors had a worldwide civilization. All right? We have more pyramids here in the Americas than anywhere else in the world. The Moors built pyramids, which were literally schools, universities, all over the world. Please, can you block this person? But the Moors had these things all over the world, and this is what ties us into that. All right? So you're blocked. If you have anything foolish or ignorant to say, you'll be blocked because this isn't for you. We're here to teach. And so, for the most part, you have schools that were all over the world. When I say schools, I mean pyramids. They say the pyramids are tombs. That they're burial mounds, but they were more than that, right? These things were in alignment with the stars, so they were in alignment with above and below, all right? And you had civilizations, literally schools. You have artifacts written in stone found over here that show a definite Moorish connection. There's no denying it. You had the Bornstone up in Cape Cod area in Massachusetts, which is written in the ancient Phoenician script. And at the time when it was found, all of the Phoenician script hadn't been deciphered by the European. So there's no way they could have faked it. There was some symbols and glyphs on there that they didn't even understand yet. That they only know now that, oh, that's authentic. All right, and so this thing predates the European, and it's written and it says, by this I take claim, and it's signed by Hanno Bay. And it's known. This isn't the only thing. This is found throughout the entire so-called United States of America, North America, found throughout Central America, all the way down throughout Brazil. And this is legitimate. We have artifacts. The Jesuit priests had deciphered portions of these artifacts, and they knew that it was Phoenician. But once again, this was back in the 1500s. They didn't even decipher the whole thing yet, so they know it's authentic, because only later on were they able to see that all of the glyphs were Phoenician. So they found this stuff here and throughout the entire Americas. But if you are Moor and you follow the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you know that this was all ours. He already revealed this to us.
And if you want to know more about what he's speaking on, you can go to moorsinamerica.com. There is articles and also YouTube channels where you can actually watch in full his discussions about this what he's talking about right now, this subject.
Yeah, so do what she said, because I can't go that much in depth in a short video to explain it. But there's videos on here showing this that go more in depth. The artifacts are found all throughout the Americas. It's set in stone, literally. The Olmecs have a stone head that was called the Old Man with the Fez, and he's wearing the fez, and he had the tassel and everything, and it's carved in stone. All right, looking like this. Okay, and so this stuff was found here. All right, that was in Central America, and so it's known. It's already known, even though it's hidden.
All right. Next question: why is it important to have a nationality?
All right, so just to look at that, like there was a UN declaration not too long ago. It was when Obama was in office. It just basically says that all indigenous people have the right to a nationality and to self-determine who they are. And the reason that was put in place, there was a conference with all these different tribal groups and different indigenous nations, and they're coming together to say, hey, we're asserting ourselves. You know, maybe they're fighting against colonization or whatever, and they're asserting themselves. And this was declared, you know, made international law, that all indigenous people have the right to say who they are. And so let me say one thing real quick. That's why the person who was in the chat saying nonsense got blocked, because no one else, no outsider can come and tell me who I am and say that, oh, you don't have the right to that and you aren't this, this, and that. No, we have the right to do that unhindered upon. European, pale-faced Europeans can't come and tell us, no, that's not you. Other people who look like us can't come and say that. Foreigners can't come and say this. You know, nobody can determine who we are. We know as Moorish Americans that our ancestors weren't all brought over here on slave boats. Okay? Having this knowledge may make you go and further look up history. Actually look at the historical last 200-300 years for yourself without just taking what you were taught in school. And when you do that, you find out that this whole thing that they told you about the slave trade, the whole time they telling you from the 1800s and up that we were being enslaved, that you find out that Europeans were paying tribute to all the Barbary states. Not only the European nations, but also the colonies over here in the Americas. They were all paying tribute. Why? Because the Moors had a worldwide empire. Even though it was fading, they still had a grip on the seas. People couldn't trade. They couldn't make money without having a relationship with them. They were paying them tribute. They were also, the Europeans were getting robbed. They were getting sold into slavery by dark-skinned Moors. Okay? And this was happening on up through the 1800s. Okay, this United States, they were sending delegates over there, even on up into the 1900s, to pay ransom to get their people out of slavery, and also to pay them tribute, so that they could participate in trade, and this is real. This is not fake. And so nobody's telling you this, but it's documented throughout history. It can't be denied. And so, yes, we were here before the slave trade happened. They didn't have the capacity to bring us all over here on slave ships. That's why it's foolish to be black African American ADOS descendant of slaves. We don't start at slavery. We descend from the creators of civilization. And so it is important to connect yourself back to that and back to the nationality to determine who you are. We were stripped of that. It's not to say that you don't have a nationality. It's to say that you don't have a line of descent. They gave you a line of descent. They defined a Negro as something that starts at slavery. We brought it here. We educated it. We gave it a religion. We blessed it with Christianity. We gave it all this stuff. And so it only gets what we give it. That's why they can be out here marching, talking about their lives matter. And maybe we'll give them some crumbs. If they want reparations, they can come and beg us, and like Biden will do it, turn his nose up at you, say, that's going to divide the nation. I don't know if we can give you that. Nah, they can do that to you because you have no nationality. Even though they can, you can get a U.S. passport and everything, says you have a nationality, but you have no line of descent, man. You started slavery. You're still their property. So you have to come outside of that. You have to define who you are. Why not step back into your true ancient and recent heritage as the creators of civilization? All right? And you trump everything that has been placed on you to limit you. All right? And it's something that everybody must do. All of the tribes in the world, they're getting on board. They see that nationality is the way to go. You have to be aligned with the nation. You have to at least be capable of governing yourself. Right? You have to be civilized in order to have rights and to be respected locally and internationally. And so everyone needs to get on board,
and
including
if I can
us.
I just want to add on to what he's saying, because under the 14th and 15th Amendment, we were given civil rights, right? And civil rights are not human rights. So under these slave labels, we are property, and we are giving privileges instead of human rights. So that's why, unarmed black men, women, and children can get gunned down and by the cops, and the cops will get paid leave, administrative leave, okay? He gets sent home, but he still get a paycheck. He's still getting taken care of. Even though he did something horrible, he took a life, right? But that's why we're screaming in the streets, Black Lives Matter, because we want justice. We want equality. We want to live on our lands and be treated fairly. That's all most of, people, indigenous people, whatever you want to call yourself, Moors, Native Americans, that everybody just wants peace, equality, and justice for all, because that is what every human being deserves. And for your life to equal nothing after you work, pay taxes, your ancestors built this country. Without so-called black people, everything that we use every day in this society, in this civilization that we live in, we will not have. Okay? We won't have stoplights. We won't have refrigerators. We won't have railroads. We won't have... I can go on and on forever. Without us, there will be none of that. We still breaking records, okay, as melanated beings in America, even at the bottom caste, getting treated horribly in most cities, in most towns in America, In our
own homeland.
Okay. And you can do good. You can be Christian. You can, go to school. You can get degrees, and you're still going to be treated less than you are. And that is not fair. And that's why nationality matters right now today, because that's the only thing that we're missing. We've done everything they asked. We've done everything that was expected for a good person to do, and you still get treated as a bad person. I don't know if you guys heard of the doll test, but they took a black doll and a white doll. I'm gonna use terms that we all hear and know, right? A black doll and a white doll, put it in front of babies and ask them which one was the bad doll. All the babies picked the black doll. The black is bad, right? Which one is the beautiful doll? The white doll. Which one is the good doll? The white doll. Okay, this is brainwashing from the beginning to little children. So I know it's hard for grown-ups to understand this because it's been programmed. We're manufactured, okay, beings. It's been programmed in us to hate ourselves so much that we will take the abuse that's being placed upon our people and not understand how to get out of it. And when someone is telling you this is the only thing that you're lacking to be counted as a full-fledged human being with human rights, citizens is a nationality. That's it. What is a nationality? How do we proclaim this nationality? How do we proclaim our nationality?
All right. So the first step would be to align yourself with others who are aware or who are of like minds, who understand the need for a nationality, and like I said, who are of like minds, who are working for the same goal as you, right? To self-determine, to have your own land, grow your own food, provide for yourself, do all the things that you need, and to be capable of governing yourself, right? And so I would say that everybody needs to actually physically do this with people in your area, right? And as far as how to proclaim, I could say to join the Moorish Temple of America, because this was it's a religious organization, but it's also a religious and nation or society. It's an Islamic nation state that was created by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for the so-called Negro, black, colored people to come in, all right, proclaim who they are, to work together as a unit, to move now as a unit, as a real people, right? They're self-determined, looking out like we have to have our own goals, like we have to have national goals, national strategies, right? So it's not just every man for himself. Like we know that we need clean water, we need farmland, we need certain things like this to prepare and to take care of our own needs. We know they're putting things in the food and stuff like that that we can't trust. So we need our own so that we can look out for ourselves. And so, having your own society that's capable of governing itself, that now provides you with this opportunity to look out for yourselves as a collective. So you can't just do it by yourself. Somebody said it's not a nation state, but that's somebody who doesn't have a true understanding of what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did when he set up this religious organization. All right, that's someone who hasn't truly looked it up. I would advise people to do the research, to go and look up Hers Revised Statute and to see what the prophet actually did, right? He created a body politic, okay? And so that could have went two ways. It could have just been like a church, right? Or it could have been a body politic. He activated the body politic portion of it when he moved as a nation. A body politic is a group of people capable of governing themselves, capable of compromising a nation.
Moving on one accord.
All right? And so this is why I'm saying, like, people don't actually understand why it was so important. That's why when he changed it into a religious organization in 1928, he also went on a parade to announce to the world, we're a nation, right? And so this was symbolic, this was a ritual, this was something that had to be done. He also went on an international tour, right? We even have some records, I think from Ancestry.com, showing him going to Cuba, right, on a national tour, the Pan American Conference. So this is very important. I would say, yes, align yourself with the Moorish Temple of America, declare your nationality, and then get to work on your local and national goals. It's not just about looking stuff up online or talking about it, but actually working on goals for yourselves as a collective, like in your town, in your state, in the nation, right? Because we're all over the place. So these are, from our perspective, the Asiatic states of North America, right? We're all over the place. So we have to work as a collective and then in our little pockets where we're at.
Islam. To add to that, well, that actually goes into our next question, of what does it mean to be a Moorish American, and being a Moorish American actually takes us out of what they created for us and allows us to just be who we are, um, naturally. All right, because in our society, like our culture, if you go into our neighborhoods, no matter where you go in America, you will see our neighborhoods are all kind of functioning the same. We have that. You ever heard of every black neighborhood is called the hood? Okay, we have that hood element.
They have food
All
deserts.
right. There's no real green, grocery stores. There's no farmlands. We have the bodegas and everything where everything is being sold, but there's no,
You
there's
have
no
churches,
natural
but the
foods.
churches don't have banks. They
We
don't
have
have credit
churches and
unions. They
liquor
don't have
stores, right?
businesses.
And that's not good for us, right? As a people, we're being fed trash, chemicals and trash, processed foods. And they took all of the farms away from our neighborhoods, or they took us out of the farms and they put us in the cities. We thought, well, it was popping in the cities because we can go there to work, make money. But the more so-called civilized we got, the further from nature we are. As soon as we stop eating and living on the land naturally is when we start getting sick. So we have to definitely go back to that and understand, like, our natural nature as a people, and learn to we have to reprogram ourselves because the self-hate is so deep, in our communities. We hate ourselves so much that they could get another brother to kill a Nipsey Hussle. They could get another brother to kill a Malcolm X. They could get another brother. You understand what I'm saying? They're not going to get a pale skinned European to do this dirty work because they don't have to, because we willingly will do it for little to nothing, a couple of dollars, drugs. And that has to stop. We have to break that cycle of hatred towards each other. Our young men out here gang banging and stuff. When they kill another brother, you look at that brother and that brother looks just like them. Okay, they're going after brothers that look like them, that act like them, that's from the same hood as them, that's facing the same struggles as them. And we have to get to that trauma, the drugs, the alcohol, the self-hate, the miseducation of our people. And that's what being a Moorish American is all about, is relearning how to be. We have principles. In our hoods, there's no principles. The only law is no snitching, And it's not okay because there are real violence, crimes, poverty. It's thriving. And everybody else comes into our communities and they make money off of us. We feed their families. We send their kids to schools, to colleges, but we can't afford to do that for our own people. And it's 2020, baby. It's time to come up.
2021.
It's,
So without this, you're vulnerable.
It's over
you're just
for
out
that.
Here for everyone to take
That's
advantage
right.
of. So what does it mean to be Moorish American? On one hand, spiritually, it means that you understand you have a higher purpose. You must every day work to subdue your lower self, to bring out God, Allah, within you. So to be a Moorish American, on one hand, spiritually, you know that Allah is within you. So you have a job every day to work to subdue the carnal mind, the lower self, to always try to dwell in your higher self, to think and act and work from your higher self, right? And then to have physically, to bring about our society off of these principles, to rule ourselves as a collective off of these higher principles, and physically to be looking out for ourselves, meaning our own land, our own businesses, right? For ourselves, politically, monetarily, resources, looking out for us as a collective, in addition to you and your household, right? So that's what it means to be a Moorish American, putting the spiritual and the physical together. And, I've known that people don't really see this coming into play. And that's why you have some people out there that think, oh, it's not even possible, but this is what it is ideally. This is what it really means. And so that's why also it is important to come into the Moorish Science Temple of America to get these principles, to learn first off what you stand on, who you are, and how to conduct yourself. Then, within the Quran, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you're actually given the steps on how to subdue the lower self, so that you can actually do the work to bring out that higher aspect of you, to bring out Allah within you. So that it's not just talk, because you got people saying, "Oh, I'm God," or nowadays people saying that stuff. They even call Eminem the rap god, right? It's people just saying it now, and so I'm watching videos on YouTube and online, looking at stuff, but it's not good enough to talk. So it's about actually putting it into play for real, for you, for your families, and as a collective, right? That's what it's really about. And so that's why I'm saying, like, the prophet actually set it up for us. It's just on us to actually come in and put it into actuality, to make it physical for us here in the here and now.
That's right. And it's so important because that goes back to what I was saying. It brings us back to who we really are and our nature as a people, under the 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Because once we learn who we are, then we'll learn to love ourselves. Then that inferiority complex, then that self-hate, then that, that depression that's just been over us, will lift. And our light will be able to shine bright. And our light is so contagious that it'll start to wake up everybody around us who's ready. And this is definitely needed in our communities, because right now it's like we're living in the dark ages.
And one thing too is, somebody said we're all Americans. Like, as Moorish Americans, we know that ultimately with the, to live in harmony, with our neighbors, regardless of their ethnic backgrounds.
We don't,
right?
We
can't all be Americans though if we are at the bottom and we are suffering in our own homeland. First off, don't even know this is our homeland, that we're indigenous to this land, that's still a big secret that we're being, kept from for some reason. Why? Because when we know it, we can do something about it. This is our land, right? So we can't continue to exist in a land like this, where we've literally had our towns and things that we owned and businesses taken from us. It wasn't just Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street that got burned down and attacked.
It was
race riots. This happened
Bill
all
Street,
over the country.
North Carolina,
so we
Tennessee.
can't pretend that didn't happen and act like, okay, it's all cool, we all Americans, even though we at the bottom and they killing us, they gunning us down and not going to prison for it. It's all good because we all American. We can't pretend that that's right. That needs to stop. So as Moorish Americans, we looking out for us as a collective, like, that's gonna have to come to an end. We need to be broke off for everything that was taken from us, right? And since you did it, you're gonna have to assist with correcting that. And there's no way around that. And we're not asking or begging.
If you
like,
really feel like we're all Americans, you should
it.
want this for your fellow Americans.
Yeah,
it's only right because that's fair.
You're not gonna have your foot on the back of our necks, or and act like it's all good, right? And you hiding the secret of who we are. Like, no, that's not gonna work. It's over. We know who we are. We're not gonna ever dumb down and go backwards, and then our children just gonna take it to the next level. So it's like it can't end now. The cat is out the bag. And even if everybody's not on board, it's okay, because no knock to the people who's not ready to do this and not ready to own their own land and be in control and have power. No knock to y'all, but you're going to get left behind. And not saying that to try to make you feel like, some kind of way. Just being real, man, because we're not waiting. Like, we can't pretend and go backwards. The truth is out. We know who we are. We're going to do something about it. You're either going to get on board or you're going to watch it happen. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what's not going to happen. Being their slave, their pet, their creation that they created to mistreat, you are never going to get what you truly deserve. If they break you off some reparations, it's going to be opened up for everyone. You're going to think you're getting reparations, but it's actually going to be for European women too. Pale-skinned women. It's going to be for gays, lesbians, trans, all of them. It's going to be for everybody. It's going to be for foreigners, for immigrants that come on. It's going to be for everybody. Okay? And they already did that with the whole civil rights. with with affirmative action and all that, and they'll do it again.
And what he's
And that's
speaking
not how it
on
works. I mean,
is is race pride. There's nothing wrong with having race pride. Every every nation of people is supposed to have pride in who they are, and it's supposed to want the best for their nation. And we're the only ones in here in America that don't have that because, like we said earlier, the nationality part was stripped from us. We were given a false name. We were given a false God. We were given a false education, false everything. So now, because we're in the age of Aquarius, this is the age of knowing, and we have the internet, and we have information at our fingertips, and we can find out things so quickly now that it's not hard. So in living in this time, it's only part of evolution for the people who have been mistreated and lied to for so long to start waking up and being conscious and wanting to know more and wanting to get out of this vicious cycle that have been consuming our people for so long. And you know, we hold on to the slavery thing because they teach it to us in school. They tell us how great George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, they tell us how great these European men in America were. And when they talk about our people, we only hear about the bondage, right? The pain, the fear. So that's what we live in. That's our paradigm. Fear, lack, confusion. So now is the time that we can break free of those chains. The 400 years of slavery is up. And this information right here, nationality, culture, tradition, this spirituality is how we do it. And how we do it right without going backwards. Okay?
Hey,
like
one thing,
we were saying before, we're not a hate group.
Click the share button. Make
That's
sure
right.
you click share.
Share this. Watch this with your friends and family. Try to understand what's being said here, even if this is super new to you and so foreign that you can't really grasp an understanding about what this is, what we're really talking about. Watch it a couple of times and then go and do your own research because
look at the
truth
other
don't
videos
change.
on here. Look at the Moorsinamerica.com. Somebody asked what language were the Moors speaking over here, I guess before colonization. Maybe you missed the beginning of the video, but we have in stone, written on the record, Phoenician. The Phoenician language was being spoken over here. You have Moorish Latin and the Phoenician language on the record, right, in ancient artifacts over here in the Americas, predating European contact. That has no business being over here, given the lies that we were told about who we are and the lies about world history. Okay, they left out when the European teaches you about history and how our people started slavery, they leave out the fact that they were being enslaved. Why don't they tell you about them being enslaved? Why don't they even use that to make the case for why they enslaved us? Well, y'all were enslaving us, so we had to get you back. They don't tell you about that.
Right.
They only tell you about you being a slave.
How?
All right, so that's why. And that's why, now, if you want to stick to George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, you want to put on a pilgrim hat and celebrate Thanksgiving and pop your fireworks, go on and do that. That's weak. And I'm not saying that to knock anybody, but it is corny. It is corny. It's weak. If you with George Washington and all them, be proud and do that. But the thing is, those are all lies. The chopping down the cherry tree, these are lies, symbolic in their lies. These people were being enslaved and they were paying ransom to get pale-skinned Europeans out of slavery. The whole entire time they told you that we were slaves. All right? So we don't start at slavery. I mean, bottom line, period. And it don't fit us. And ancient Phoenician script all throughout the Americas, from Brazil on up throughout North America, right here where we're at, Moorish Latin, all of that stuff was found over here and was spoken over here. And on top of that, you have the remnants of the Native Americans. I'm talking about the people who are on the reservations who descend from the Mongoloid stock, all right, that was brought over here. Even they will tell you, the ones who know, who are keeping the history for their tribes, will tell you that their ancient language was a form of Hebrew. was a form of Aramaic. All right, so these are once again languages that are direct derivatives of the Phoenician script and things of that nature. Okay, so it's like, why are they over here speaking like, how come when the Spanish came over here, they were able to communicate with
Right.
them because they had Moors with them who could speak, or Moriscos who could speak Arabic, and speak the Hebrew language, and they're able to communicate with the indigenous. All right, so it is what it is. We know who we are. Nobody else can tell us anything.
And these are keys that's going to unlock your mind so that
Look at
you
some
can
of the other videos on here to
rise
get more
up.
information. Since we can't go over it all right now, go through the other videos on here.
And with these questions, some of these questions are being asked, and there's no bad questions. We appreciate all the questions, but some of these questions are coming from mind states that are still kind of in shackles. They can't phantom us being a worldwide people and traveling all across the globe and interacting with every people in peace and trading and building. This
But you
is
think
true.
the European could get 200 people on a slave ship and bring them across the seas when they couldn't even cross the seas without paying tribute, and even in doing so, their ships are getting raided and the whole crew getting sold off into slavery in North Africa. So much so they created these pale-skinned Arabs that we see now. All right.
And history repeats itself. It's good, bad, ugly, and beautiful all at the same time. Okay, there was a ton of things going on that they don't teach. That is up to you to go and learn. It's up to you to go and uncover. There's all kinds of stuff that we have no idea of. But once you start meditating and aligning yourself spiritually with these teachings and your ancient forefathers, something inside of you will start to rise. That Kundalini chakra energy will start to rise. The chakras will start to vibrate within, okay? Your third eye will open, and
Hold up, let me
this
play
is
devil's
real.
advocate and say that if this doesn't vibe with you, that's okay. It's cool.
Okay.
Because in the past, we had people who were against their own people.
That's
We
right.
had people who willingly went along with the Europeans and went along with Christianity. They took it willingly. They went and even helped to try to indoctrinate their own people with these philosophies, and who had no problem teaching their own people that George Washington and all these people were superior. All right, just like we have our own people who will have no problem telling their little boys, little girls that they have bad hair, right? Or that they ugly because they're dark skinned,
True.
right? So I mean, like, if it don't vibe with you, that's okay. That element existed then and it still exists now.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
And
right.
that's fine. It is what it is.
And that's why
It
I
ain't
want
for
to
everybody.
say that we're not a hate group. We don't teach hate. We teach love, okay? We teach love instead of hate. We teach to love ourselves and love our brothers and sisters. We don't harm each other. We don't steal from each other. We don't steal from anyone. We don't harm anyone, okay? We are like the perfect example of the model citizen in the world, because we're so full of ma'at and balance that humanity is important to us. And this is what we do. We uplift ourselves so that we can uplift our communities and uplift this fallen humanity. This is the main goal of this organization. Okay?
Yeah, so we don't have to go and steal from other people or try to take from people. We can work and build our own. We know that we're just as good, if not better, than everyone else. And not saying that like we're better than everyone, but just being real, we're confident in our own abilities and capabilities. We know that we descend from the creators of civilization, so we can create our own. We're not beggars. We're not a beggar nation.
That's right.
We have value to bring to the world,
Yes.
right? So we don't need to beg or steal or cheat or run little schemes or anything like that. That's not what true Moors do, right? True Moors are upright, independent, and fearless. Upright meaning that you are working to subdue the lower self. So you're gonna do the right thing. You're not trying to run schemes. Independent, meaning you're not living on somebody's couch or living off of somebody. You take care of yourself. You take care of your family. And fearless, meaning we don't go out here starting trouble. But if you messing with us, we will take care of ourselves in the heartbeat. We're not out here, to be taken advantage of. But we're also upright. So there's nothing to worry about. We're model citizens. The whole world needs us. Everything that you see, the religions all over the world, they're being distorted because the people that are doing it obviously weren't up to the task of really bringing these spiritual messages to the world. So if you see Islam or Christianity or Judaism or any other religion, Buddhism, anything, and it's being corrupted, and you see like little caste systems and things going on in those different religions, it's not the message, it's the people distorting it. But we know that we have something to bring that can truly actually we're to be the head of the world, right? The last is to be the first, you know. So ultimately we're coming to bring the true light. Islamism. All
And
right.
pressure makes diamonds, right? Okay. Let's get to the next question. Why is it important to meet at least twice a week for Holy Day and Sunday school? So those who don't know that Moorish Americans meet at least twice a week on Fridays on Holy Day and also on Sundays for Sunday school. So why is it important to meet as a Moorish American
All
with
right,
your
so
community?
yeah, so for a lot of people, you know, coming in, that would seem like a chore. Like, why are we doing this? And maybe they get in and feel like it's like church. Why are we doing this? Right? So the meaning of it is deep. Like when the prophet Noble Drew Ali set this up for us. All right, this is a process. This is a ritual. It took time for us to get to the state where we're at now, where we're black people. Okay, black comes along. There's a mentality that comes along with it, where we're, as a collective, we're not looking out for ourselves. And in 2021, we're down for whatever. Right? Just 50 years ago, we still valued families. You go back 70 years ago, they were calling us Negroes. We still valued family. We tried to stay together and raise our children. So something happened. It's been going down and down and down. They've been attacking the family. They put crack in the neighborhood, and that just broke everything. So now we're just down. We don't even really value each other. We're not really. Everybody's not worried about being together and raising their children, right? So that breaks down the family. Everything's gone, right? And it just goes down from there with crime, where you actually had a youth thinking it's cool to be criminals. They were doing that when I was a teenager. So it's like even worse now, where it's cool to be a criminal. It's cool to be untrustworthy. It's cool to be just foul and evil. And for the women now, just to be sexual in nature, to be getting implants, right? Which is putting your thoughts on your body parts, right? So that, we've fallen to the point where just on this basic level. And so with the meetings, right? Why do we meet twice a week? We have to undo all of that. That was a process. And now it's going to take a process and a program to get you out of that. And that's just on one level, to get you out of that savage mind state. And then we're giving steps, actual real steps, to subdue our lower self so that we can get up here to where we're supposed to be at, right? Like if we have 12 strands of DNA like they tell us, all right, what's this junk DNA that they're talking about? There's 24 strands of DNA. Half of it is unknown to the pale-skinned Europeans. It's not lit up for them. They can't see it. They telling us it's not real. It's junk DNA, right? But that stuff is coming back online. And so we have to tap in. We have steps to actually pull this out of us. All right? Because there's no telling how powerful we are. All right, once you truly subdue your lower self. And then for us to do that as a collective, as a unit, as communities, as towns, as a nation, and then rule from there. And not just rule here where we're at, but ruling the world. Not ruling it on some tyranny, right? Actually ruling it from the higher self. And so ultimately, that's what we're doing. And so no, you can't just wake up and just, oh, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing, right? Not to say that you aren't, but you can't just pretend. You have to really do it, and it takes work. And none of us are just flawless right out the gate. Everybody has to put in work. And so every Friday and every Sunday, if you're a true faithful Muslim, you hold to it no matter what. And even if it's hard and you don't want to do it, you stick to it, and you don't get bored. You stick to it because you want to receive the benefits. It's going to take work. You want to pull that out of you, you're going to have to put in some work. All right, and stick to it and pass this down to your children. And now maybe when they're doing the Sunday schools and the holy day, they're doing it on the next level because you stuck to it and you actually did that work. You weren't just going there, you were actually doing the work to subdue the lower self. You're working on each step. All right, and so then when we're passing the mantle down to the children and the grandchildren, we're not like what our ancestors, which I'm not trying to knock, the older generations, but we're not doing what was passed down to us because all that was passed down to us for the most part was shame, right? Was failure. Okay, because there's no reason we shouldn't have this stuff by now. So you will be passing down something different, a legacy. All right, and not just physically, but also spiritually. The true you, bringing out the higher you, because the spiritual is more real than the physical. Everything in the physical world comes from the spiritual, the unseen. Right. All right, that's why that junk DNA is unseen, it's unknown to the European. They can't see it. They can't. Not trying to knock them, but it's real. They can't access it, and that's why they call it junk DNA. And it's coming back online. And you can't just get out here being all foul and funky talking about you and more. You need to do the work, and it's gonna take a process to get you there. So stick to it. There's no excuses. Stick to it. Every Friday and Sunday, be on it, and prove that God is in you.
Islam, it's about being disciplined. It's about having a brotherhood and a sisterhood. Building that back up. Because I know so many young women who, I don't like being around girls. I don't like being around, it's like we're not supposed to feel like that about being around each other. We should want to be around each other. We should want to, be around other women of all ages, okay, of all backgrounds, because
we shouldn't be so proud that we're tearing at each other and clawing and
it's too much
gossiping
hate.
And all
it's
that
too
stuff.
Much hate. We can't build our communities if we don't trust and we don't like each other. I'm supposed to be able to help you with your children, and you're supposed to be able to help me with my children, because we're supposed to have that sisterhood,
nowadays.
And that's how the community is created. Okay, we're supposed to get back to that, because we used to have villages. We used to have, you heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, you can't trust
and
people
it's like,
around your children now. That's
supposed
crazy.
to get back to that.
Do that.
And
but it's supposed to be like that.
It's
and
supposed
like
to be
to
like
say
family.
One thing to that, just one last thing, like you were saying, it takes discipline, and that's if you can't be trusted with $1,000, you can't be trusted with $1 million.
That's
and
right.
so if all you have to do, is stick to that every Friday, Sunday, do this, hold to it, and then do the uplifting acts that you need to do with your brothers and sisters, right? If you can't hold to that, man, you can't handle the power, right, that comes with being the leaders of the entire world. All right, because that's what we are. That's what the Moors were, and we are what our forefathers and foremothers were today, without doubt or contradiction. So you can't be, the leaders of the world, the creators of civilization, if you can't handle that responsibility. Just stick to it, no matter what. It's not that hard. It's not too much being asked of you.
And it's supposed to be a growth as well. Over a year of actually attending your meetings, like, I'm telling you right now, for at least 4 years since we've been in the temple, like since we started our temple here, we have not missed a meeting. Now, a lot of you guys don't understand how dedicated we are to this. We have 5 children, we have businesses, we work, we have a home, we have a lot on our plates, and we manage to make our lives better by being this disciplined and actually applying the information and the knowledge, the application of this knowledge, is how you kind of rise up and grow spiritually, mentally, physically, economically, and this is what it's about. Can you imagine if 1,000 of us were on the same page?
That's right, and
man,
that's how it's.
Power.
Ideally, that's what it would be.
Power.
Yeah, if you're not disciplined enough to do it, you're gonna still get lackluster results. The results aren't gonna be good enough, and if you're smart, you realize it's your own actions. But if you're not, you're thinking it's the world outside of you punishing you or something. It's not. it's always within. So that's just one thing. Being disciplined, actually doing the work for real, and yeah, we're seeing growth, like individually and as a collective in our community from working together. So it's not just about just meeting and talking about the Quran. It's also about putting up your money, working together to build, get businesses, get land, do these things that you need to do also, without running your mouth. You don't have to tell the internet about it. You just do it.
Just do it, you know? That goes into the next question. Who should join the temple? Now, I've seen a couple brothers' questions pop up in the chat who were from different countries. Now, it's a lot of confusion when you start to see this information and you dive in coming from different countries or having different nationalities. It's like you have a nationality. You don't understand what we're doing here.
It's not for you.
Black Americans, so-called Black Americans, we know we're Moorish American, but so many of our brothers and sisters don't. So Black Americans, African Americans, okay, we were stripped from a nationality. We were given the labels, black, colored, okay, etc., Puerto Rican, everything. We were given these things, and that is not us. That was not who our ancient forefathers were. So you have a nationality. You're from Ghana. You're from Nigeria. That means you're Nigerian. You have a land. You have a people. You have a culture. You have a flag. You have representation in government. Being Black or African American, you don't have that. So please understand, digest this information. Being Black, you are taken outside of the constitutional fold. You do not have representation in government. That is huge, okay?
And one thing on the low, they treat us, and when I say they, I mean our government, they're really supposed to be working for us. They treat us as if we are a nation without acknowledging it. Like, for example, they have a congressional Black caucus. And even though the people in there are all bought and paid for and don't represent us at all, don't do anything for our greater good, like, why isn't there a congressional white caucus? Right? So we have that. And then, of course, when Hurricane Katrina happened and our people, who were the vast majority in New Orleans, maybe even in the state of Louisiana, they were being displaced. They're sending them all over the place, sending them to Memphis, sending them to Houston, all these different places. And the president gets on TV and calls the people refugees. Right? This is their own land. And you got to think, when you go to Louisiana, there's the Mardi Gras Indians. You have the people down there who know that they're indigenous to the land. They know that. Like, they know that they didn't just runaway slaves join the tribe. No, they actually know that they were indigenous and that they always were dark-skinned, indigenous to that land, right? So you have people like this getting displaced, and the president on TV calling them refugees. So on the low, like, they're not going to reveal who we are. They know who we are. They know that we have a nation. But they treat us like that without acknowledging it, okay? And so with that being said, you're displaced, okay? And so the question was what? Who should be joining? Who should join? The people who should join the Moorish Science Temple of America and work, to proclaim their nationality and work with their brothers and sisters are people who get it, who recognize the importance of us having our own land, governing ourselves, being in control of our own destiny, not having the big massa. It was embarrassing seeing Sharpton and them on the Zoom call with Biden, and they're asking him to please do something about police reform, and he let them know he wasn't doing jack. Right? Like, sad. Come on, it was embarrassing to see that same Biden dude on the news tell Black people, you ain't Black. And he said it like that. You ain't Black if you don't vote for me. Like, come on, man. So that should have been a wake-up call. So if that was a wake-up call for you, if you knew that was bogus, then this is for you. You need to come in and proclaim your own. Don't go along with that as lame, as corny. If you see that and you're not trying to be a cornball, then this is for you. Because we can't do that anymore. It's so played out. And they acknowledge us. They treat us like a nation without acknowledging us because they don't have to. So that means they can run through us. And we can't do that anymore. So, if you tired of them polluting everything and putting chemicals in everything, we need our own, then come on, let's do it.
That's right.
Ain't nobody else gonna do it for you.
Yep,
and all the foreigners and people that's been commenting on here, they ain't gonna do it. Some of y'all not even doing it in your own countries. right? Some of y'all come over here because you don't want to do the work to clean up your own country. So it's like, come on, man. Nobody's gonna do it. Nobody's gonna fix this stuff except for us.
That's right. The time is now, like we said before. Change comes when you apply the knowledge, right? So now, since you know what a Moorish American is, what Moorish Americans do, you know, um, once you proclaim your nationality and become a Moorish American, like, what are some of the things that you should like start doing in your community to help uplift fallen humanity?
All right, so yeah, once you've done this and you've got Moors in your area, y'all need to work together. Like first and foremost, like you need finance. Y'all should be putting up finance. You should have like some type of investment group or something where y'all are putting money up, And even if you don't know what to do yet, you're still putting it up until you figure it out, right? And so that's one thing because you could start getting land. You could use the fact that y'all are a legit business. You got to set up a real business, set something up like an LLC or something like that, a trust or whatever, so that you have a real recognized entity that you're working at, that's your investment group, so that you can start making moves as a collective. And once you're putting money up, I mean, you've been doing that. You could get land, you could get property, okay, under that business that you've created, okay. And I mean, that's important because eventually you're gonna need your own grocery stores, right? You may want to get land and start growing your own vegetables, like community gardens and things like that. And as far as in the community, now that you're bringing in revenue, now you can start to branch out and create actual nonprofits, which will actually be businesses, legit nonprofits that you can now use to do the work in your community that you see fit. And you should be working within that collective in your community with a strategy. Like you got to think. There's some things that I wouldn't say online because
it's nobody's business.
It's not for the internet, man. It's for real people.
You don't see the person who owns Walmart,
some
the
strategies
person who
that I
owns
just wouldn't
Kroger,
say
out here talking about what they doing with their money and
exactly.
how they build their business. No.
So like to go back to that, because like there were people on here that like not with the information. So it's like, why would I tell them what the plan is? So like you need to work with people and trust that you guys will put it together because you're Moors. You're not stupid. You're gonna come together and you're gonna do what's necessary in your community to prosper. And if that means starting businesses, starting nonprofits, actually doing charity and working your community, cool. Getting businesses, getting properties, having your own co-op grocery stores and things like that of that nature, which is gonna make you prosper even more as you're bringing in more money. That's what's up. And then it was something else I was thinking of, but just working together as a collective politically, also looking out for yourselves, looking for your own communities, starting your own communities, incorporating your own communities for real, doing it not for fake, not like, I mean, not talk, like doing it for real legally, not trying to take someone else's stuff. No, for real, getting your own legally, working with your other Moors as a collective and setting your own, because like there's towns that are for sale.
Yep.
Literally, there's ghost towns, there's small towns where there's a few people live there, but the town is for sale, and you can go in and take it over and be the majority.
And listen to this. Every town, whether it's an Indian town, a Chinatown, if you go in all these cities, you see these little towns of these different communities. It all started with one business.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 businesses, and then 3 businesses, and before you know it, you own the whole block, and there's different businesses, there's restaurants, grocery stores, schools, okay, shoe stores, everything.
Online with that.
And then you don't only sell to
much.
each other,
Look.
but you sell to everybody, okay? You're doing a service to that city because you are providing products and services that are helpful.
So in alignment with that, just like how Europeans will come in and gentrify a neighborhood, instead of complaining about it, do the same thing.
That's right.
It's not just you by yourself no more. Now you're working as a collective, and now all y'all have to do is strategize on what you're gonna do yours at.
Yep.
And you can do it. Like, you
Simple
can't
as
be a
that.
victim now. If you victim, you can't do nothing. Moors aren't victims. We're upright, independent, and fearless. That means we're not victims. So if there's a Moor talking like a victim, they gotta get on up out of here. We ain't even trying to hear that mess.
And
Don't
another
come around here
thing,
with that weakness.
once you start applying this knowledge to your life and taking it seriously, and start your spirituality starts to level up, okay, you will start to see, like, it'll kind of be like little miracles or magic, like your life. Everything will start getting easier, okay? Doors will start opening up, okay? Just sometimes big, sometimes little, but it's those slight changes, and it's changing because you're changing on the inside. Your thoughts are changing. So your reality around you is changing. Like, this is real. This is the science of self that you are not taught anywhere else, okay? This is why the Jesus story, okay, Heru, this is why the Jesus story is so important, and how come Jesus, we know who Jesus is, right? Okay, we're not talking about Caesar Borgia. We're not talking about that pale-skinned European with the long hair and the blue eyes and all the paintings. We're talking about the Christ, okay? The Christ, becoming a Christ within yourself, okay? Buddha, that there's many Christs all over the world, right? You were sold this specific one because that helped to create that slave mentality, and that, that slave system that you're born into, okay? But we do know and understand that the story, the meaning, the information has so many levels, and if you do understand it and you study it the way we do, you will start to see, wow, this is what it is, okay? It's a whole magical science, okay? And once you start applying this, you will definitely see the changes in your life. Positive changes, things you will never thought you could imagine. Amount of money is that just is given to you just because you are being yourself for once, okay? And you're out of those shackles that you were placed in. It's like a game, okay? You're put here, you're born here, you have no memories, you have no nothing, okay? You're born in bondage, right? But it's up to you, once you reach a certain age and you see this information, to grab it and run with it, and continue to rise and continue to go to levels and secret worlds and unlocking doors, okay? You're the Mario, you the Zelda, you the hero. It's you the Heru. And it's time for you to awaken, okay? Open up that third eye. Activate that junk DNA. It's not junk DNA. Tap into it. Honor your ancestors. Honor your brothers and sisters. Love yourself. And you will love everybody around you, because you will be manifesting love. Okay? Islam.
Right, Islam. And yeah, if you have questions though, you could send an email to bay@moorsinamerica.com. That's Bay, BEY @moorsinamerica.com. And that's it.
Well, peace and love, all the brothers and sisters. Thanks for watching. We
Oh,
love
make
you.
sure you hit like and share. Everybody,
Definitely share this.
yeah,
Share this.
click
This
that
is
share
important.
button.
Watch it with your children, because our children are our future, and they need to know this. Even if you don't understand full-fledged, just share it with them. Maybe something inside of them would awaken and take it to the next level. You could be on a journey together, because there's no harm in loving yourself. There's no harm in wanting to know more and do more and feel better. There's no harm into helping your brothers and sisters, and to understanding what happened to us and what we can do to change our realities right now.
All right. One thing too, in closing, for those who are already aware of this or been exposed to this information, you see, there's more work that is required to actually be successful. So it's not just about paperwork and talking a good game and all of this and that. If people's not doing this and actually, putting bread up and getting land and property and businesses for real, legit, and setting up businesses and nonprofits to do these things, you don't have like a foundation to give away food in the neighborhood, or make sure that all the children like have the things that they need, right? Like where your people are living at, you don't have things to like to get your people to help them out, then you're not really doing it, right? And so that's what it's really about. And you don't really have these businesses like generating revenue and getting land and doing these things. You're just trying to file paperwork and all that stuff. That's not good enough. I'm not saying don't work on that stuff. I'm saying that that's only a small portion. You need to work on yourself and your business. Moors handle business, and they've been doing it, handling business all over the world. So like, I'm supposed to have a suit and tie on with my fez, right? That's what it is with Moors.
You don't smoke and drink in your fez. You don't hang out in the streets with your fez. You don't sag your. You know what? When we go out and we see the young boys and they sagging their pants and they smoking. When we get around them, they pull up their pants. They put the weed down. They have respect, because no matter how far we fall and how trapped our mind is, it's something in us that recognizes the greatness within. And when we see it in our brothers and sisters, something inside of us wakes up and say, hey, I love that. I don't know why I love it, but I know it's important. So I'm going to straighten up. Okay? So it's time. Because we're going to be out here reaching out to all our brothers and sisters until everybody is awake and everybody's doing their part and our communities start to look like it all around the country. Because it's that important for us. Okay? And the world is waiting for us.
All right, so make sure you share this. This is basically like the basics of what it means to be Moorish American. Peace and love.
Peace and love.